part of the presentation, the follow-up after the expo. You've gone through a number of stages to get to this point. You've done some research and preparation prior to attending the expo. You've then gone to the expo and you've spoken to a number of employers on the day. You've gained a lot of information to now start the application process. Let's go through a few key areas you may need to consider in the follow-up process. You may have missed out on some information from the Employment Expo. You may have spoken to a number of organisations, a number of employers, and they may have given you a lot of information. You may have missed out on a few key areas, potentially the skills that they're looking for, maybe understanding more about different service lines, or more about their geographical locations and recent developments. This is fine. You can certainly do some more research online via the channels we discussed earlier. You also need to think about how you can best utilise the information and contacts you received and gathered at the Careers Expo. You may have spoken to some recent graduates or interns, which you might want to follow up via email, asking them some more specific questions about their own experience and some advice. This is certainly fine, and this is playing an active part in finding the right job. Then you can also look at the companies that you spoke to, and you can really narrow down the search and be more specific. We talked about earlier of having 10, 15 or 20 companies on your priority list that you would like to speak to at the Career Expo. You might have narrowed down this list and you might have a target company of 5 to 6 or 7 companies on your list. You might want to directly target these organisations with your application process, and these may have been your standouts on the day when meeting employers for the first time. Understand about using the information that you've gathered and how you can incorporate that into your application and decision-making process. We talked a lot about values and we talked a lot about culture and environment, and this is a great way to do that. Understanding whether your skills and your values are incorporated or could be incorporated into that specific organisation. The information that you gathered is valuable, and this is the time to really use it. Always make sure you send a thank you note or an email to the employers that you've spoken with. Remember, they've given their time to you. It might have been 5 minutes, it might have been 10 minutes. The conversations were valuable, so making sure you send a quick follow-up email will certainly help you stand out from other candidates. It's nice from an employer's perspective to arrive back at your desk the day after an expo and have a nice email from a student that you had a genuine conversation with. It's always a nice touch. You can always phone the employer or the company and ask if they've received your application. This is also a vital part of the process. You can follow up and see where they're up to in regards to reviewing your application. They may give you a time frame of when they might consider calling applicants for phone interviews or face-to-face interviews. Always know what you're going to say. Be prepared. Write down a phone script of the conversation you might have. Write down a couple of different scenarios. This is best to handle all different types of situations. Always make sure you write down a scenario for leaving a message. This can certainly catch you off guard if you're not prepared. Let's look at a few key areas before we finish today. Certainly make sure you follow up with a phone call or follow up via email. It is certainly a really nice touch. Make sure you network with all your contacts that you've met on the day or prior to. This is a really essential time for you to be talking to as many people as possible, sending out your application, your resumes to key people within businesses you would like to work for. Making sure you've gathered together a to-do list. You have a really clear idea of what needs to be actioned and when. These might include your target companies and also some additional research you need to carry out. Also thinking about standing out and really standing out from the crowd. These employers attend a lot of career expos, so it really is up to you to be able to provide them with the information highlighting your skills, abilities and personal attributes. And remember, always make sure you show manners and politeness when talking to an employer. Finally, one last thing I'd like to address. The university has created an application for students in which you can download from your phone. The application highlights all the employers that we discussed in attending the expos. So you can go onto the app and download the employers who are attending. You can also click through directly to each employer's careers website. And this can all happen prior to you attending the expo and on the day, and obviously post the expo. The application also covers a number of different areas, including the academic calendar, the campus map, thinking about contacts at the university and within your own faculty, recent events that are happening on campus. This will also include careers and employment events, thinking about different news, transport, and your personal timetable. The application is certainly a worthwhile addition to your life here at University of New South Wales. Best of luck in speaking to employers at our expos. I'm sure you'll do great.